Good morning. Welcome, Aunt Jen. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Good morning. It's a rainy, kind of cool day, like the weather's shifting. There's a full moon going on. So there's a lot of energy.
A lot of wild and weird energy. We feel it here. Hello and welcome in, everyone. I want to add this to my Facebook, but every time I do, it goes crazy. So
Like crazy how?
It's a long story.
Okay. You know what? Not my wheelhouse, but I just thought I'd entertain the question for you. Like, that's okay. We could go a little off the rails.
Well, let me try it real
Okay.
quick.
Try it.
It makes me delete half the stuff I have on here, and I don't know why. So
Oh.
let's see if this works. So welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in. And we are, oh, okay, it's going. We're going to talk about love and marriage. So you don't have to be a married person to enjoy this live stream. You could have been in any type of relationship that has been challenging, that has been wonderful, that has ended for whatever reason. We're going to talk about, this is just our theme, right? Self-help, self-love, self-reflection, which I know we are both big on, right now. And in relationships, we have to self-reflect. Sometimes, I know I've said this before, sometimes self-reflecting is not my favorite.
No.
I know. It's very hard to believe. It's very hard to believe. So happy November 5th. Happy full moon day. Let's see what the Moonology cards say. Full moon in Sagittarius. Love it. Sagittarius season is right around the corner. Look at the bigger picture. So let's start with full moon in Sagittarius. It's a random card I picked out of the Moonology deck. And that's funny because in a relationship, there's always a bigger picture. So hello, Aunt Jen. I'm going to make some announcements and then we'll get started. If anybody has any questions, let us know.
Yeah.
We are making donations to the following organizations through my live streams. You can donate clicking wherever the link, the QR code is. You can donate directly through my Venmo or PayPal, or to Feeding America, Toys for Tots, and Help a Diabetic Child. Now, the reason I picked these three organizations is because as a child, I was very, very poor, and my father had left and my mom had 5 children and we had nothing. And so we depended on welfare organizations like these to feed us and clothe us and give us Christmas presents because we didn't have anything. And then the reason I would like help donating to diabetic children is because my son is a type 1 diabetic, and there are many children and adults who have to ration their insulin, which their life depends on. And type 1 diabetes is a disease that comes on you with no warning, and all of a sudden you're a type 1 diabetic. Nobody does anything to get it. You just get it, and it's a horrible, debilitating disease, and you're insulin dependent forever. And it's 24 hours a day for the rest of your life that you have to monitor your blood sugar. And there are so many children and parents who are underinsured and struggling with life-saving medication that their child needs daily. So please donate to any of the Feeding America, Toys for Tots, Help a Diabetic Child. All the links are in the show notes. Or you can, if you don't want to go through all that, you can just send me something through PayPal or Venmo, and I will post a video showing where I donate the money to. Also, all of my readings booked from now until the end of November are buy one, get one free. You will receive your freebie scheduling after you book the first. Subscribe to Aunt Jen 888 here on YouTube and follow her on IG. And if you are on a budget, like most of us are, the best way to support your favorite creators, which is totally free, This is the best thing you can do for all of us. All of you are the creators you love. Subscribe, free. Follow, free. Like, comment, share. All of these things are free, and it helps us get into the algorithm so we can continue making content and helping people like what we're going to talk about today: relationships, marriage, love. This could go for intense friendships as well. All right. Also, please click the bell on both of our channels to get notified of our new videos and when we will go live.
Yeah, click the bell.
Click the bell. It's right
Click the
under
bell.
right under the video.
Click it.
All right. Good morning, Vivian. Good morning, Capricious Caroline. Good morning, Mandy. Good morning, Debbie. Capricious said I ended a narcissistic relationship that was verbally abusive. We're going to get to it. Hi, Judy. Judy, I'm going to email you my phone number. And Capricious said, click, click, click. All right, Aunt Jen, what do you have going on today?
Huh?
What do you have today? What are you doing? What are you doing? What's up? What do you think about love and marriage? Let's go.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what? What? I was like, whoa, you threw me like for a
I
loop like you
shifted
usually
gears.
do.
I shifted gears.
You did. You did. What do I have? Let's see. That was a lot of questions. What do I have going on today? I have going on a deeper, more comprehensive relationship with myself.
Good.
That's on my agenda today.
Good. I love that.
And showing up here.
Love.
And yeah, talking about relationships, marriage, it's a very complex conversation. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I think that anybody that comes to this, like, you're coming with your own experience, and I think that's something that's like, that's where anything is. Someone is sharing their own experiences and their own opinions, and so finding what fits for you. Yeah. I didn't think about this conversation per se. I just like, anytime I hear that word, it's a really big word. I mean, it's under law, right? I mean, you're doing something, like, you're going a little bit further with a relationship to, like, solidify it. And I think that the first thing that I think about when I talk about myself in general, and then also further out, is the romanticizing about it.
Oh God. Oh God. Yes.
Like, I was a
there.
professional romanticizer, like not being in a relationship, and then, like, and then even when you're in, like, you're romanticizing about what the relationship is, the person, like all of it. And then I think that that's where there's so much discord, where like we're finding like, wait, this isn't working. And it's like, yeah, but are you romanticizing this relationship, or are you in reality of what the relationship is? And, we talk about love, and love is definitely a feeling, but love is an action. Like, to be in a marriage is an action, right? It's like an action of having to do something over and over again. And I think that it starts with ourself. I mean, having a relationship, like, like, kind of like people will say, like, there should be a test. There's no test to take, right, to be a parent. There's no, like, there's no test you take to get married. Like, but there could be, like, your own self test of, like, how are you answering these questions, and what are some important questions for you to ask as far as finding out in a relationship? Because a lot of times we're romanticizing, or we're in, the beginning of something, and so that's where everything is really fun and nice, and, like, I mean, there's so many ways it can go. And like you said, I mean, it doesn't have to be romantic, thinking about, like, a relationship, a commitment, your friendships. Like, I mean, I've had lots of different things with friends, but my longest, probably most, like, whatever level relationship has been with you. Like, we've gone through different things, but it's probably, I mean, 40 years, like, you and I have, like, gone through, even of, like, being in a place when we're in our early 20s and being like, wait, what? And being like, oh, we're getting married. And, like, being, saying that we're being married, like, exchanging rings, not anything romantic, but a commitment, to each other and to ourselves. And I think that, like, that layer can sometimes be beneficial, like thinking about something that happened between the two of us, and not something that's usual. And it was like, yeah, we're married, so we don't just get to end things. Like we're, it's like there's a longer process to do things sometimes, to untangle when you're tangled up with someone. And so that could be a benefit, right? It's like all the different kinds of things. But I went around in many different circles with your question, but it's an interesting topic that is ever changing and evolving within myself for my personal relationship and others. But I would say, like, how's your relationship and your marriage to yourself?
Right.
Really?
Absolutely. And that's where this is exactly where I wanted to go. I'm so glad you said that. Women have been historically in the United States, because that's the only country I am familiar with, the way we do things here. We have been trained to get ready to be married and get ready for that big day and get ready to have the pretty dress in the big church or the big venue and the big party, and you got to spend so much time making that day perfect. But nobody says prepare for the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
They say prepare to be subservient. And now it's shifting now, thank God. But up until very recently, that's essentially what it was. You were preparing to be subservient.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not a fan of that. If anybody knows me, not a fan of taking orders from anyone. I want to.
Me neither. We have that. We don't like that.
No, I want to say hi to Holly and Vivian and Judy again. All right, so we prepare for this big fancy wedding and everything's perfect and beautiful.
We're conditioned too.
We're
conditioned to prepare for that. To prepare for that. And if you're not in that mindset of preparing for that, something's wrong with you.
You're right.
Because that's what you're supposed to be striving for. And if you don't get picked, something's definitely wrong with you.
That's why I always say you don't have to be chosen to be worthy. You're worthy on your own. Become better at who you are, which is why when you do your coaching, you have a certain course where you marry yourself at the end.
Mm.
And I think that's absolutely beautiful. And I wish when I was 22, 23, 24, 25, I had a mentor to teach me to love myself, because I didn't have a mom. I didn't have a relationship with my stepmother or my father. So I had no guidance. I was just flailing around the world trying to figure it out. And so young people need guidance. And I think your program is very important for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I believe that the programs and stuff were created first for myself, being like same thing as you. I sure wish I would have had that kind of thing. And so being able to first offer that to myself and then offer it to anyone that it feels like it's appropriate, that wants to like actually do the work with themselves, that wants to make the commitment, that realizes that it's a lifelong journey. And the rewards like are beyond what it can be actually expressed.
Right. Exactly. Capricia said, and I'm going to get to all the comments and we're going to go through them, so be patient. And I have some great quotes from a creator I found yesterday, just perfect for this discussion. Capricia said, I ended a narcissistic relationship that was verbally abusive. I've worked on myself for the last 6 years. It was hard, but freeing. Congratulations. That's incredible. It's very hard because they chip away at you slowly, then they love bomb you, then they breadcrumb you, and then they're abusive, and then they're nice again, and it's just this whole cycle. So congratulations, Caroline. Judy's heading to work. We had a great live last night. Thank you, Aunt Jen, for joining in, and everybody else.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was lovely.
And then Vivian said, I've learned recently the most important relationship is within myself. With myself. Very good. Perfect. All of the sudden, everything happened for me in life is perfect, just the way it was intended. Isn't it funny? I was talking to Vivian about that yesterday afternoon. everything in our lives, when you get to this, midlife age, I guess is what we're at,
Okay, yeah.
that you call it. You start to look back and see like, oh, that happened for this to happen.
Right.
That happened for this to happen. It's such a beautiful moment.
I
Oh, go ahead.
no. Go on with a comment.
Judy said, my deeply narcissistic relationships have oddly prepared me for this regime. Amen to that. I can see it from a mile away now. They all have the same book. I am a queen in my own life.
Mm.
And that's what we should all, whether you're a male or female or however you're identifying, you should be the person, your own royal highness to yourself before anybody else.
And I think that's the thing about like the romanticizing where we can get into trouble is that again, we think, and I'm just going to throw it out there. Okay. Right. Maybe it doesn't stick with people, but we think that if we get married to somebody that someone's coming to save us. Someone's really going to see, now that and it's like, we're not thinking it's the person, it's just the idea of marriage. So now that I'm married, I'm going to have someone that's always going to have my back, someone that's always going to be able to do this, someone, you name all the different things and now you're going to have somebody who like, they're going to spend that time with you, getting to save you from whatever happened, the love that you never had. Right. And so now you're going to have it in this particular relationship. But yet again, like, that's not anything that someone else can do for you. It's
Right.
It's only what you can do for yourself. And you can actually only receive from somebody the level that you're at for yourself.
Like, that is the comment of the day. You can only receive from someone at the level that you receive for yourself. Is that how you said it?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
That's so
and so
true.
it's also the same thing as like, learning about different things, for what your non-negotiables are, what you're looking for in a whatever's going on, like that goes for the same as the person. So we're sitting there thinking like, oh, I wonder how they're gonna love me. How do they love themselves?
Oh my
Because
God.
how they love themselves is how the ability they're gonna be able to love you. That one
That
took
makes
me a
me
little
want to
bit.
weep. That makes me want to weep.
Like to what level? Like I mean, and like watching their love of themselves and like that's been a game changer. Again, going back to my own self, right? Starting with me first of like, what would someone, and even thinking about like, what would someone think about how I love myself when no one's watching, right?
Exactly.
When all the different things are kind of going on, or how do you talk to yourself? How, like,
Yes.
this is all a process that like we want to hand over to someone else. Like kind of the same thing as like handing everything to our parent, there's so many different things that we just want to like hand away. And it's like, not only you can't, but you really actually don't want to, because when you do that, you're actually handing away your power. You're handing away so many more things than you actually realize. And you're also setting yourself up for disappointment.
Exactly. Because you're handing over your freedom to someone else, your security to someone else.
Expecting them to be able to be something for you that you're not for yourself.
And they're flailing too. Everybody's flailing. Nobody has it all together. Judy said the coffee mug I clicked the wrong button. Judy said the coffee mug I was drinking from during our show last night said she needed a hero, so that's what she became. Absolutely.
That's right. That's right, Judy. You are a hero, your own hero.
Exactly. And it goes for women and men. This isn't a man-hating discussion at
No.
all. I'm married to a man. I have 2 sons. This is about everybody needs to love themselves first and think about what's happening in here between their ears. What are you saying to yourself? Because if you are constantly judging yourself and saying negative things to yourself, you are going to project that onto everyone you love. And more so the people you're closest to, because you're safer with them. We've had that discussion a bunch of times.
And if someone is genuinely pouring authentic love towards you, you can't necessarily receive it and or take it, because you're languaging and where you're at with yourself, you're not even open to receiving from yourself, let alone from somebody else. And so then it just starts to go and there's like, wait, I don't understand. And it's like, because you're not understanding yourself, we're looking outside of ourselves again. And that is what ends up, when you're getting into a relationship, sometimes that's what I was thinking about too. Like, are you in a relationship because you want to be with somebody, or are you in a relationship because of a distraction? because relationships are a distraction. Like, unless you're a mirror to show me where I can learn from, like, you're a distraction, at least for me right now. Like, everything depending on where you're at in your life, it's important to know where you're at. And it's like they can be distractions from my own growth that I'm trying to do with myself. And and then you want something else come with it, shiny and new, right?
Right.
Oh, wait, I'll go to something shiny and new, something that will give me the love, the attention that, but then again, you still end up back with yourself. And how do you feel about yourself?
And that's perfect timing because Christine's comment said, I'm trying to work on myself, but it's hard. I just can't stay alone. This is not only does this happen to women, it happens to men. You think newer is better. I'm going to give an example that's so common. When a woman's married to a man, and you hear the story a million times, in your life, the man leaves the woman for another woman and then is married in 6 months to this other woman. And then 5-10 years later, they end up hating each other. And it's like, just because you switch partners, if you didn't change anything in here, unless your original partner had very serious issues and something very serious happened, but normal relationships, if you're not willing to work on it together to improve it and grow forward together, it's destined for failure no matter who you're in a relationship with.
It takes work. It's work, and it's like you're saying, communication. And when we don't even know how to communicate in general, like, see how you can, like, then it's like, then what is it's gonna show up the same thing in this relationship with two people. And like,
Always.
it's really about the communication, right, of what is going on. And it's also about, like, from when I look at, like, is definitely there is marriage is, besides it being a program that's turned on and so many, like, it's a beautiful thing. I've seen so many different couples that have these beautiful marriages that I've definitely marked for myself. What do they have? What is it that they have in that relationship that I would personally want? And generally speaking, the individuals have a very strong self preservation of them, of who they are, their independence, their responsibility of themselves. And then they come into the relationship as two individuals who
Yes.
actually have themselves. And then they're coming together, being able to share and becoming more of like a sharing to make this easier with each other, sharing. Whereas, like, a lot of times we're looking at, and again, a lot of the stuff that I express is my own personal journey of projection, what the other person was doing wrong, what they need to do to change, what they need to be. And it's like, generally speaking, if you ever come out of a relationship or you ever come out of different, things, not speaking for anyone else, but speaking for me, the end is always about how I treated myself, how I allowed myself to be treated, how I allowed the way things to be kind of guided by not taking care of me first. So I couldn't see the perspective I needed, and then allowing someone else to treat me a certain way because I thought that that was okay.
Oh, yeah. I just
But
can't.
again, it's me. It's me. I'm the
So,
common. I did it. And so
yes.
then you're like, but what can you do with yourself to sit with yourself while you're in that space until there's something else? Because otherwise, you're just going to do it again. The
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah. Yep. And Judy, I had her comment up. And this is exactly what I've said 1,000 times on my live streams and in my videos. Be happy, confident, independently, financial stable on your own before getting into relationships. Also work on your trauma. I would add that because that's what I say over and over. I've said it so many times. They should add to your life, not put you at risk for destruction and destabilization. And when you are happy, content, dealt with your trauma, independent, financially, blah, 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 you can discern that and tell who's going to drag you down. Occasionally there's a master narcissist. Usually you can tell. Sometimes you can't. It's okay. But what you said is you think about what I allowed. And that's a shame, I think a lot of people go through once they're, thinking about what happened in that relationship. It's like, oh, I shouldn't have allowed that. But you can't beat yourself up for it because when you know better, you do better. There's
Right.
a reason that's a saying.
Yes. And it's about getting that. I never really got that kind of love. So I didn't know that. Now I can
Right.
work with this.
Right.
Right. But instead of just, and then we just turn like, oh, well, now I'll blame this person because this happened. And so that's why I could, and it's just like, okay. Cause there is like, there's a lot of work that you can do on your own. And then there's a lot of work that's only done when you're actually in a relationship with somebody. Like it's very different, kind of finding that balance. Yet it's not about like, oh, I need to be this perfect person to be in a relationship, but it's really about like, how would you date you? And where are you at with yourself? And how do you,
Yes.
is this person like, are you looking for someone to save you?
Right. Oh, yeah. Been there. Absolutely. That's a whole that's a whole other
Right. And that's why sometimes I think that whether they're healthy or unhealthy, or they're like, we look back on it and when change like that could be one of the reasons why we became the friends that we did at such a young age, because we were thinking in our mind that oh, well, no one's there to save you. No one. Okay, well, then we'll just be together. Right.
Yeah.
And we'll just go through this. And like, we never tried to save each other. I don't believe that. Like, we were there for each other, but we were so jacked up. It was like, I can't save you. You can't save me. Like, we just going to be in this, whatever
Crazy
this is.
together. We're just
Yeah,
gonna
whatever this is, right? Of like, and trying to be that space of understanding and patience and, hearing someone with whatever we shared, like that was our feelings of like, from this person or that person, or,
we
all
had
the
a lot
different,
of feelings. We had a lot of feelings. We had a lot. And it was good. We needed that. We were the soft space to land for each other.
yes.
And that's what everybody needs, whether it's a best friend who becomes your wife. And you're still in my phone as wife, by the way.
Mine too.
Always and
We
forever.
never like, and it's kind of like, well, wait, you're still in my phone. It's like, wait, what? Yeah, we had a little hiccup. Like it happens, like in 40 years of friendship, if you never have anything that like has you kind of contract like a rubber band and then expand and then come back, like you don't find the depths, I think, in a relationship.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of relationships that they'll be in a place and they go and they separate for a while and then they come back. And you and I did that. We were both in a very we were at a very crucial part in our own personal life, and we couldn't really be that for the other person. So we just kind of stepped away of like no communication, though. That's never good. But when you don't even know what's going on yourself, how do you communicate to someone?
Exactly.
Right. And having that layer, at least for me, of being like, oh, this isn't just a friend. This is my wife. So you can't just like end a friendship like you would some other friendships per se. I don't take friendship lightly at all. So I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't look at it like that, but like it was one of those of like, we can't help each other, let's see. And then looking back now and being like, oh my gosh, like not only are we back stronger than we've ever been before, we have a new understanding and comprehension of each other, a new love for each other. We discussed everything that was going on, and it was a very clean conversation of like, neither one of us were carrying anything for the other person. We totally understood, but we took accountability and responsibility for
And that's
whatever was our part and our piece to be able to go back. And sometimes I think that you have to have those things happen to make you understand and realize how important a relationship is. Whatever that relationship may be, the importance of that, because you were married. You got married a few years out, like you were married for a very long time, but your husband's always known that I'm your wife. Like he's
yeah,
always known that, like everyone knows of like, it's kind of like a level of like friendship of like a stronger commitment. That's how I looked at it. It was like
yeah.
a commitment of like, ooh, she's your wife. So like no matter what's happening, you guys you're never going to not talk, because that's not possible because you've made this commitment. And I think
Right.
that that's kind of what happens a lot of times too, is people feel that like if you make this stronger commitment with marriage, that means it's going to be safer, that it's actually going to last, that it's actually going to work. And then if things don't work out, it actually makes things a lot more complicated to
Mhm.
untangle all of the tanglement that like your fantasy mind thought
And
that
that's yeah.
it was
That's
going to look a little differently.
yeah. We got a bunch of comments I want to get to, and that's yes to all of that. Vivian said, when I was 13, I blabbed out to my mom telling her not to expect me to get married at 44 and happily dating myself. I love it. Love it. Love
Love
it.
it, Vivian.
Christine said, oh, that's a long comment. It's covering half the screen. I didn't know you could put a whole comment up like that. I left a domestic relationship with my baby's father after 10 years and then got into a relationship a year after being together, 4 years, murdered on my 40th. Ooh, I'm coming up on 4 years and feel like I'm ready to be in a relationship, but I still don't think I'm healed. We'll keep working on it. I'm trying to find myself. I listen to all your podcasts. I even listen to them 2 or 3 times a day. That's so sweet. Just to make sure I have a clear mind. I appreciate everything you do. Well, I appreciate that. And we are trying to let everyone know we are not perfect people.
Oh
We
gosh,
have
I wouldn't want to be. That's a lot of
we have
pressure.
well, I think the authenticity helps people understand that the things we go through and the things we've felt ourselves, the shame, the anger, the pain, the happiness, the reconnection, the disconnection, all of that is normal. And this is like group therapy, right? When you
Yeah.
go to group therapy, you see that other people have experienced similar things. And it helps you understand, oh, this is okay that I have this feeling. All feelings are okay. All
They're all
feelings
valid.
are okay. They're all valid. And if anybody tells you they're not, get as far away from them as you can. Um, because it makes your feelings aren't safe with that person.
What happens again? It's like you're
Yeah,
having it uncomfortable, and then they're adding more on instead of it making it the lighter of the load.
exactly. Judy said, society teaches women to fear being alone. I go hiking,
Yes.
camping, and do everything comfortably on my own. Every time I do, I receive endless warnings about all the ways I will get hurt or die. Well, you are in Portland, and I hear that's a dangerous
Well,
city.
I think it's also certain upbringings.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know.
I know that who I am versus where my mom, different generations came from. I mean, some of them, I mean, they're walking fear, and so it's something like that you have to like push through. So like kudos to you. I get that one, Judy, because it's like, that's kind of like thrown at me regularly because up until, a certain relationship, like I've been on my own most of my life. And so it's like that is the whole thing of like, oh my gosh, you're out there on your own, and you're driving by yourself, and it's just like, yeah, and like, and it's like, but other people, that it to me, it always is like, where is it coming from? The audience that's actually projecting that, like, where are they at? And generally speaking, those people that are projecting that, they don't know how to do things on their own per
Mhm.
se, and so that's their own personal fear. But I also believe a lot of it is the romanticizing. Like that one just keeps on repeat in my mind of like the romanticizing of the relationship when you're like connecting with someone before it even like it's like something that's like an escape, right? Something to be able to get away from something, like, and then watching it, and then it doesn't turn out because you didn't really know the person, because
Yeah,
it's very fascinating, but it's also like you're a part of it. So what part of you is showing up
right.
to this, like to be a part of this dynamic that's taking place? And I mean,
Yeah.
I found myself in many fantasy relationships, romanticizing, like,
I
oh my
think we
gosh.
all, I think
Uh, uh,
especially females, I think some males do it too, but I think females. Mandy said, I married at 18 to a physically, mentally, and verbally abusive man. I'm just now 39, realizing there is a wound there I haven't healed, buried it deep down. Buried it deep down. That Mandy,
it's beautiful, and I love that. And I would ask you another question. Just out of curiosity for yourself, not for me. Why did you marry this person at 18? What were you seeking? Like, do you see the path of whatever that is? Again, not right, wrong, or good or bad. It's your path. So, do you see what was happening as far as why you went this direction? What was the urgency to marry the person? Like all those things, just so that you can see the path for yourself. That would be a
right.
question that I would ask.
I love that. That's a great point for anybody who's in that same situation. And Holly said, so on point, Jen, but I am about 15 minutes behind, 17 minutes behind on comments. So I don't know what point you were making, but it was on point.
They're all good points. Like, I mean, right? Whatever lands for you, right? Whatever
Yeah.
that is that kind of lands, which we've all done. I mean, remember, I moved to another state thinking that like I was in a, right? I mean, we've all done like, hello, hello.
Someday we
And
just have to tell our story.
What?
We have to tell our
We
whole
will.
story.
We will someday. That's probably like a whole day. But
That's
anyway,
like
like
3 or 4 hours easily.
easily.
Mangled
And
Mangled is here. She said, conscious co-create, don't spectate your life. It's good. Yep.
yeah.
Vivian said, take control over your own life. Yes. Judy said, I use queen to represent internal significance. Yes. Thank you,
Yes,
Mangled.
Queen. We
Yes.
love Judy. We
Queen.
love Judy. You were fabulous last night, Judy, by the way. That's the same Judy, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Vivian said years ago, my coworker asked me why I don't have a man and asked what happens when I have a flat tire. Oh Lord, that's why you hire people.
AAA.
That's what she said. AAA.
I'm really good AAA. I'm good AAA. Thanks, Mom.
Judy said, projecting fear onto me comes from women and men. Seriously, what are you going to do? Fight a bear? I'd rather be in the woods with a bear than a man. Just FYI. I can put up my own tent. Thank you. Yeah. So that's a whole. Women are so much more capable than society wants them to believe, and they want to instill fear in them because they want us to be dependent on men. And that's why what's happening politically in our country, and I know it always goes back to politics with you, but it does, because it's running everything that's happening right now. That's there's this whole misogynistic Christian evangelical right wing who wants women to be dependent on men. It's like, why don't we work together in every way? Because women have incredible, wonderful things that they can contribute to all of us. And women are why society works in the first place. Women bear the children, period. Nobody else can do it but us. So why don't we learn to work together and not say women bad, men strong? It's like a caveman, and it's terrible.
Well, and it's also created the opposite, the hypervigilance of independence on women, of being able to do everything on their own and not needing to count on someone because they didn't have people to count on. And so there's a whole piece of that too. And so it's about finding a nice, happy medium, right? Because there is that hypervigilance, like, of being able to do, like, well, I can do everything on my own. I don't need a man. I don't need anybody. And then you become like on this other spectrum where it's like, we don't need to go, if you have to go there and do whatever you need to feel to come back. But it's true what you're saying. I mean, it's like, they all are pieces of the puzzle.
Right. We're man and woman for a reason. We're here. We both have things to contribute. It's not that I'm not saying men are useless and women power. Yay. No, I'm saying
you're not saying that.
We need to be, we need to be better.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't want anybody else to think.
Well, how they interpret what you say, you can't control anyway, just so you know. What someone else will interpret what you say, I mean, it's like.
I want to say some things about, I watched a video by Ms. Erica Ware on Instagram. She probably has other channels too. She's called The Confidence Coach. And these are comments that she made a list, and it was just chef's kiss to the whole thing. This is what you say when you're coming, towards the end of a relationship. Could be a short term, long term, doesn't matter. But these made me smile.
I love it.
Because a lot of times people say we're not compatible. It's not you, it's me, whatever kind of crap, right? So she made this list. All credit goes to Ms. Erica Ware. You deserve someone who understands you better. Or, I think we've learned everything we need to learn from each other. Our journey stops here. Next.
That's a good one.
Yeah, these are good. I mean, good. The next one is, I think we are seeing life through different lenses.
I like this.
Next, I'm in a chapter of our life that requires clarity, not confusion. These are good, right? These are
Yes.
so good. And the last one is, it's not that you are wrong, you are just not right for me.
Ah,
All credit to Ms. Erica Ware, the confidence coach on IG.
and
Uh,
that can be, we've seen people who have had relationships and then they end up not having a relationship and they move into something else and they like, I mean, those are possible. I'm definitely someone who's had that. Like, it is possible because you can create what's happening within the relationship, and the relationship is a representation of yourself and the other person, of where it's at, what's happening. Like, you two people are the only two people that are really in there, yet there's always so many outsiders that have so many different opinions, and
oh,
even, I mean, it adds on even more,
don't even
right?
start. In-laws. In-laws can really break, and best friends. Not you. You always were very supportive of
I
everything.
sure was.
But in-laws can really, really, really break apart a relationship. Then you got to think, if the in-laws are powerful enough to do that, then your spouse has given away their power to their family and is not committed to you. They're still committed to their family. And maybe you shouldn't be married to somebody like that because they're not ready to be married. They're still enmeshed in their family. Judy said, I realized when I started doing things on my own that I was actually doing 99% of the work anyway. Big eye opener.
Right?
I want to say,
That's like a big one of like, wait a minute, I'm already doing all this anyway. That's what I've
yes,
witnessed from
I
watching a lot of these different women that are married and have, like I said, just observed. And I've been like, well, you seem to be doing everything on your own anyway. Like, I don't know. That
and
doesn't
the
look like much fun.
and the spouse is just making you do more work because you're having to take care of them. I will say, I've never had to clean up after my husband in over 30 years of being with him, ever. Which is shocking because most women are like, really? I'm like, yeah, he cleans up after himself. Like, I've never picked up a sock of his ever, nothing. And I know there are women who have husbands who they pick up after. Now that would have sent me through the roof. Like, no, you're grown. But these women, there are so many women who are married single mothers. I see the videos, like you said, I see it all the time. I saw it on a plane. I've told the story before. We were coming back from California last year, and there was a wife and a husband in a row right next to us on this side, and they had 3 little kids and a baby, so 4 kids total. And the whole time, the wife is taking care of all 4 of these kids and holding the baby. The entire 4.5, 5-hour flight. The last 20, the husband's on his phone the whole time, watching a movie on his phone, and she's got kids crawling over. She's giving them snacks. She's giving them drinks. She's calming the baby. The whole time, my brain was about to explode. And I thought for a little while, maybe that's not her husband. Maybe he's just a stranger, right? Like, he was so detached from what was happening. It enraged me. The last 20 minutes of the flight, he finally took the baby from her. Hours she took care of all those kids on her own. And I was so upset. And it's like, because so many people are dealing with this. And it's like, isn't it easier just to do that all by yourself, like you said, and not have another because you're resentful to that person. Guarantee you she resents the hell out of that man, whether she knows it or not. She resents him. I have resentments from when my kids were little. My husband worked all the time. I am so resentful, and I have told him this. This isn't a secret or some big revelation, but I was doing everything at home and he was off. And it makes me feel like so many men are workaholics to avoid being at home, or they're golfaholics. He also played golf all the time. And I'm like, I'm sitting here doing all this stuff and you're just gone. And I don't even have time to take care of myself or exercise properly. That is a huge resentment of mine too. So that's how I feel about that. Everybody. Everybody. Any
I mean,
comments on that?
I mean,
Anybody?
I mean, it's quite a, I mean, just being in relationship in general. Friend, I mean, you start off with the relationship, and then you also start off with your friends. Like, what are your friends saying about you? Like, what are your relationships with your friends? What are your, different things that are kind of going on, like not in a negative or like just can you have that yourself? And then also, could you ever go to a friend and ask them? I mean, I've had different things going with different friends. I've had other friends be like, okay, I want to show up a little more. I haven't felt like, and some have been like, what are you talking about? Like, I've been your friend since high school. You're fine. Like, if I needed to, oh, okay. Like, and then there's other friends like, you're not enough. And it's like, okay, like what, like trying to like figure out what that is. But like, that's a great place to be able to see how you're showing up, because family, sometimes there's expectations
Yeah.
of how, so unless you can have a relationship where you're like starting, something newer, or you're going into a newer relationship, or have those different things. But I think those can be good reflections for you to find out where you're at. And then what they're saying, I think another thing is that make sure that whoever you're asking their opinion, it's actually someone you respect. Because if you're asking someone's opinion that like they have a terrible like, I mean, just remember where it's coming from, and it's not anything bad, right? It's just like sitting there saying, oh, I know that, right? That's not maybe the right person, or observing more, or like, I mean, how many times how many times within whatever relationship have you been like, no, that's okay, like finding yourself making excuses for that person,
Oh,
finding yourself over explaining them, selling them
oh,
to your
oh,
friends. Let me sell. It's okay. It's not. It's like, like someone should be able to like, they should be efficient on their own in the relationship. And like, yes, some people you'll have to show certain things because of many different reasons. And that says a lot.
uh, that is a whole can of worms.
Right.
That
I mean,
is,
there's so many cans
and
of worms that like,
we often go get opinions from people who we already know what they're going to say, because we go to people, should I buy that fancy car? And you go to your friend who has a fancy car. Yeah, you deserve it. Not the reasonable friend who's going to be like, you make $30,000. You probably shouldn't buy a $50,000 car, right? Like that's what you should be hearing. But you go to the person who's like, sure, they don't care. It's your finances, not theirs. So we often go to the friend who we know they're going to say what we want to hear. And that's a problem. That's where we need to be like, maybe ask 5 friends that all have different backgrounds and will give you a different version, or do some self-reflection. Like you always say, think about, what is my part in this?
ask yourself,
Yeah.
the answer.
Sometimes
It's
but
very true.
sometimes we know the answer, but we're not ready to accept the answer.
Okay, that is it right there. That is it right there. Ding, 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 ding,
And
ding,
it
ding,
can
ding,
take
ding.
decades.
And that's why it's like, even just accepting that and understanding that, even if you don't do anything else, to me, that is the first step. So it's like you could stay in step 1 for a really long time, because just being willing to change the perspective of how you look at something like that is a huge step. And sometimes that takes a long time to get to that one.
Yeah. And Judy said, financially on your own is much more difficult, but everything else is mind-blowingly better. Vivian
Yeah,
said,
that's never made sense to me, Judy, by the way. Like being single and you don't get like, you don't get extra, like you don't, where's the tax credit for a single person trying to do it by themselves? But yet you're married, you got 2 incomes, and we're going to give you, like, I've always been like, what? Like, I didn't get that one. That one never really like, but a lot of stuff I don't really understand, because it doesn't make sense to me and the way that my mind works and how, but that one has never made sense. It's like, you'd think someone was single, they deserve maybe a little bit more of a break, but I guess not. No,
or
right?
let's just pay people a better wage. The minimum wage in our country is still $7.25. Let's start with, and an average apartment anywhere is ranging from $1,500 to $2,500 now, no matter where you're at, even in places like Bum F, Missouri, where I have family that live. $1,500 for an apartment in the middle of nowhere? I don't think so. Vivian said, I'm not a man hater, but if scientists can clone a human and we move into even more digital age where physical strength is no longer matter, does Earth need men? Just a thought-provoking question. I say yes, we do, because we need a balance. We need a
And
balance.
there's a lot of beauty in so many men. I can think of
Yeah.
so many men that I'm just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine my life without. Like I think about my brother, and I'm just like, he's a man. Like I mean, he is masculine and feminine, but like my world would be. This would not be a world I'd want to be in without my brother. Like, you
Right.
know,
And
like,
I
and
feel like
he's,
that with the men in my life, my husband and my boys.
yeah.
I mean, seeing my adult sons grow into fatherhood and manhood is just beautiful because
Right.
it shows me it is possible to break the cycle of misogyny, patriarchy. It's possible to have a man be strong and supportive and protective and
Yes.
safe
Yes.
and loving and vulnerable. Men can be all of those things. It's just our generation, our the partners of, you know, the 40s to 60s year olds were raised by the boomers who were like, big boys don't cry, shut the fuck up. And it's like,
Oh,
that's
the
not
quiet
true.
generation.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Like
what they're calling them now. The
they
quiet generation, because they
and
didn't
guess what they
talk about
did?
anything.
They suppressed it, and it
Yes.
came out as addiction, as bad habits, as abuse. Because, like I always say, you shake that Coke bottle, that stuff has to go somewhere. It's coming out
Mhm. Mhm.
somewhere, and not usually in a good way. I didn't
And
know that.
also, sorry, also because of the, you know, the different things of the work that I like to put myself into and really immerse myself. Like we are made up of the masculine and feminine ourselves. Like one side of your body. I mean, it's like there's so many different things. So I would not want to lose the masculine, and like it's about learning to embrace and having the masculine and the feminine flow together in a beautiful dance,
Right.
because there is paying attention within ourselves. We have the masculine and the feminine within our own body, within our own side of our body. I mean, breaking down even that, it's like, you know, that's how it goes.
Exactly.
So,
Judy has some comments. I've had to learn to ask myself, if I were anyone else, what would I tell myself? Am I taking care of me as much as well as I would take care of someone else?
oh, that one's a
So
real good
big,
one, Judy.
so big,
Yes.
so big. And then her next comment is just as good. This isn't about men or women. This is about adding a true partner in your life, 1,000,000%. Not another child to take care of. If all I'm going to do is feed you and pick up after you, I already have a dog, 100%. And that's where, and it can go both ways. It can go
Yeah.
both ways.
There's not like
Because
men.
we're
Yeah.
women and we have more of a perspective, because there are men who have wives that aren't, you know, a true partner. That's absolutely the case. I just am a woman with a male husband. So, but luckily for me, of course, like I said, I haven't had to pick up after my husband, but that doesn't mean he was perfect. No, no. We've had a very
He was
long,
perfectly and perfectly him.
right. Right. We've had a very long marriage with lots of ups and downs, lots of different things, and it's not always a beautiful bed of roses. And anybody who tells you otherwise is lying.
Yeah, and I think that's where people run into a problem too, especially if you don't know how to deal. Like, I mean, that's a good, like, how do you deal with conflict? What do you do with conflict? How do you like communicate? Like, because that can be something also that you bring into the relationship. You're like, oh, I don't deal with conflict. Oh, well, there's going to be conflict in the relationship. So if neither one of you know how to deal with conflict, then it's going to be interesting.
Right. And they say, it's like when Christians say Jesus is the answer. Well, what does that mean? Therapists say communication is the answer. Well, what does that mean? What is that? Communication isn't just I'm telling you all my feelings.
No.
Communication is being able to hear without judgment instead of listening to reply
Or defend.
or defend.
When someone listens to defend,
Defend.
they're not listening to you.
No. They're listening to tell you that they're not wrong and you are wrong, and that is a recipe for disaster. And
Or they're a scared little person who's shown up and they're scared because we're, you got to think about it. We have our own inner child. And so our inner children are meeting each other where they're at. Right. And so it's like, it's a scared little inner child of like, oh gosh, what did I do? I didn't do it. And I didn't mean that. Right. And you're like, I'm trying to talk about it. And so it's like, that's why it's like, how much work or, like self-evaluation does someone do within themselves or they want to do, and who are they surrounding themselves with?
Right.
Who are the people that they hang out with? Are they people that self-reflect? Because if none of their friends self-reflect, then you might be fantasizing that this person is for you and you want someone who self-reflects, but it's like, where do you think they're getting? Like, no.
And it's not only the people they surround themselves with, it is the information they're getting from social media, from television, from movies. If your partner's scrolling and watching, porn all day, probably maybe want to evaluate that. If your partner's scrolling and watching people argue and people break their leg on videos and violent videos and boxing, and maybe think about that.
If that's not your thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All of that is so true. And it's also like to the fact of like, how is this how does this person view life in general of like, and I think the harder part is like, whether you're in the beginning of a like, are you finding yourself convincing yourself of this person more or less, or are you sitting here finding like the red flags, like, and making excuses for them because you're like, oh no, that'll be all right. And it's like, it can be, but just remember that that's the person that's deciding on this relationship. Then the one that's letting all these flags go by, be like, but I really like them though. I don't want to be alone. But it's like, really, like, what's the other option though? Of like, that person that like, are they really coming and meeting you where you're really at, or are you just okay because someone likes you?
Well, and that's where you don't have to be chosen to be worthy, right?
No. Do you like that person? Like that question?
We have to be chosen to be worthy. Women especially are taught
yes.
that. And
did you get picked for the prom?
Yeah.
No, I never got out. No, didn't get picked very much. Like now I look back on it as people were intimidated, whatever the story is. Like the people can have a story. Like I'd love to, but I was not someone who was picked. I haven't peaked yet. Wasn't picked. You know what I mean? It was like, and that was always something that was a negative spiral for myself. Now understanding it very differently, I'm grateful. But while it was all going on, like you don't really understand that, especially when you're not being picked ever to be on anything. Like we don't want you to play sports. We're not picking you to go to the dance. We're not picking you at all.
And that's especially now more than ever why we should wait much later to get married. Unfortunately, our females' eggs don't last forever, right? We can't have a baby when we're 65, when we're really mature. But unfortunately, there's a window for that. But that doesn't mean that window is appropriate for a healthy relationship. And I don't think that I probably would say now I'm more prepared to have a healthy relationship than I've ever been. And I've been married 30 years. And it's like that we were two little kids, just like you said, we were in our 20s, everybody. So I don't mean we met as little kids. We were in our 20s, but our inner child met each other when we met, and had, like I said before, had no business, none, getting into a marriage. Just we were not prepared for it. Not that we didn't care about each other and love each other, but now I have much more frontal lobe development.
Well, and I think that we have our own. I know for myself, this. I kept myself from relationships because I wanted to heal my father.
Yeah.
wound, because
Yeah.
I knew for a fact if I didn't heal that one, which I've become a real expert in the father wound, like there was no way that someone was going to show up, let alone where I was going to attract. I mean, all of it. And so I spent a lot of time where I was like, oh, things are ticking. And it's like, well, you know what? Like, this part isn't healed yet. Like, and not saying that, oh, the way I did it is the right way. I'm just saying that was my way, because I definitely had a very clear objective of like, ooh, this is not going to work out, Jennifer. Like, I've
Right.
seen who you attract, and girl, no, like you're not, this is not going to work out to even to have some marriage if you don't heal this relationship, because you're just transferring it from this person to
Yeah.
that person. And
But at
that's not
least,
what we're doing. We're
but
not
at
doing
least
that.
you had the wherewithal to know
I
that.
did have the
So many
wherewithal.
people don't. I didn't know. I
I
didn't
had
know.
I had the wherewithal with a lot of things,
Yeah.
but I don't mean that in a way of like um better than. I mean that in a way of like, especially now where I'm at in the age, like of being like, you know what, Jennifer, you freaking knew what you were doing. I know you didn't think you knew what you were doing. I knew that like you question yourself and like, but your internal like clock of like, no, we can't do that because of this. And we can't, like, whether I shared that with people, like, is something that's gotten me as far as it's gotten me. And now it's
Yeah.
just become louder and stronger and even more confident
Self-assured.
about it, you know, more clear on it. But back then it was like wishy-washy, but it was also like, but I know this to be true. So I don't know.
Didn't
I'm just
sit
going to
right.
go through the motions. But,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. And on that note, I think that's a beautiful place to end the discussion. We will be back next week. Subject TBA. We'll come up
TBA.
with something.
Yeah, and
Feel
maybe
free
that
to,
also we can start asking, like, if there's something that someone wants us to talk about, like, you
yeah,
know, or
that's
subject
just what I
even
was
just
going to
to,
say. Brain
mm,
bridge. Brain
mhm.
bridge. Thank you, everyone who joined us. Don't forget, donate. You can donate directly through my PayPal or Venmo, or to any of the links in the show notes. Make sure to follow Aunt Jen here on YouTube and on
Please
Instagram.
and thank you.
For any of her services, you can send her an IG message. And thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Aunt Nicole.
Thank you, Aunt Jen. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Love. See you next week.